All right, good evening, everyone. Madam Clerk, we can begin.
This meeting is called to order. Roll call, Councilman Nathaniel Anderson,
Present.
Mayor Councilwoman Perone called and said that she wouldn't be at this meeting.
Okay.
Councilwoman Tiffany Worthy,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Samantha Whitfield,
Present.
and Mayor Kim McIntyre.
Present.
We will now have our prayer by Pastor Terry McCullen, Associate Pastor, Borough Church. You can take the mic, please, sir.
We gather this evening with a spirit of gratitude, thankful for all things, thankful for the ability to come together today, and thankful for each and every member of this council, everyone who works so hard in our township to continue to push our community forward. And as this meeting convenes this evening, we ask our Creator that our Creator will oversee this meeting. Let every part of our agenda be as it fits in His. And as we go forth, we ask that we continue to conduct ourselves decently, in order, with all respectfulness. All these things we ask, let all those who are in agreement say amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor T.
Thank you, sir. And also for the record, Mayor, we have Ms. Maggie McHugh sitting in for our solicitor, Mr. Crook, and Mr. Harris, Township Managers present, Brenda Blyden, Acting Township Clerk. Can we now stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, turn it over to you.
Okay. We have to do
I'm
a
sorry.
compliance statement.
I'm sorry. I take it back, Mayor.
Oh,
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to the Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier Times. Advance written notice of this meeting was filed with the township clerk. The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of this meeting, this public announcement. Mayor.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll start with our proclamation for the designation of July as Park and Recreation Month. Would you like to read it, Ms. Bolden? Or if you had, Our Director of Parks and Recreation. Good evening.
July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Willingboro. And whereas parks and recreation promote health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks. And whereas parks and recreation promote time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas parks and recreation encourage physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas park and recreation are a leading provider of outdoor services and education. And whereas park and recreation programming and education activities such as camps, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas parks and recreation increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation are fundamental fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and recreation are essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a space for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas Willingboro recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore be it resolved by on this 5th day of July, 2023, the Willingboro Township recognizes that July is Park and Recreation Month in Willingboro.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Harris, you can begin the municipal updates.
Good evening, everyone. So our short report for January 2023, just to report that finance is authorized by the governing body. At our June 1st, 2023 meeting, the municipality has purchased a term investment. We have invested $3,745,000 with the New Jersey Asset and Rebate Management Program, also known as New Jersey ARM, with the maturity date of November in 2023 at a rate of 5.27% yield and will mature at a value of $3,840,343, resulting in miscellaneous revenue in the amount of $94,643.06. So that is additional monies that we can put into our coffers that we did not budget to receive in 2023. So that's a good thing for Willingboro. And it is our intention, if the council approves, to repeat this several times during the course of the year. And again, that's just increased revenue. A revenue generated as of June 28th totaled $1,062,559.23, $612,434.41 of which was tax revenue, and $450,124.82 from other revenue sources, and a monthly allotment of $2,829,433.66 was dispersed to the Willingboro Board of Education. I do know there has been a considerable amount of conversation related to the tax increases this year. I have to re-emphasize that the tax increases in Willingboro were not from the municipality. They were primarily related to the school board and the county open space tax. So we can have further discussion related to that as you see fit, Mayor. Our inspections department for the month of June so far has completed a total of 1,125 inspections. They have issued 14 summonses and 568 violations. The revenue total to date for June is $91,275. Mr. Tunstall and his department is killing it, as the expression goes. And thank you for your continued hard work moving that department forward. Since I started here in Willingboro back in 2021, we being the inspections department, the UCC department, and DPW have been consistently working on abating an exorbitant number of fire and safety violations that have gone unaddressed as far back as 2018 and 2019 at the JFK Center and the library, which unfortunately resulted in substantial fines to the township. But I am happy to report today, thanks to the efforts and energies of those departments, that all of those violations have been abated at the JFK Center and the library. So I thank you all for the hard work that you have done over the past months to see that these issues have been resolved for the safety of Willingboro and its residents and employees. Thank you. From public safety standpoint, the Willingboro EMS will be offering CPR classes to residents that would like to receive CPR training. I'm not sure exactly when that date will be, but it will be sometime in the not too distant future. And I also want to thank the EMS volunteer organization who has agreed to pay the $25 certification fee for the first 100 Willingboro residents who sign up and pass the course. So if anyone is interested in taking CPR classes in Willingboro, keep an eye out for that information as it will be published a little bit later on into the future. Also under public safety, the intern program has begun. There are two student interns working in the police department. One student is from Rutgers and the other one is from Rowan. The goal is to provide the students with firsthand experience and exposure to the operations and responsibilities of the Willingboro Police Department. They plan on providing an opportunity to learn about various aspects of police work, including community policing, crime prevention, investigations, patrol operations, and criminal justice systems overall. And we are very happy to have those students interning here in Willingboro, which I have no doubt is probably one of the finest police departments in the state of New Jersey. Patrols are continuing to conduct motor vehicle enforcement throughout the municipality. They are concentrating on known problem areas in the municipality. The speed trailer has been in place at Beverly Rancocas Road by Windsor Lane and monitoring traffic traveling east on Beverly Rancocas Road. We are currently seeking funding through the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for our grant program, which will involve a detailed intersection analysis focusing on high accident areas along Veterans Parkway and Beverly Rancocas Road. According to the most recent US DOT fatality analysis report system data, it indicates that there were 10 fatalities in Willingboro Township in the past 5 years, which is above the US average of 3.14 on similar sized roads. The total project cost will be around $120,000, of which the township will be contributing $24,000 towards in its 2024 operating budget. So we are happy to move forward with that. There were 8 total ordinances that were addressed, and they issued 5 summonses and impounded 2 vehicles. And I just want to remind everyone that the police department is giving out free club style steering wheel locks to any residents or person who works in Willingboro or lives in Willingboro who owns a certain style and year of Kia or Hyundai vehicle. You can contact the police for details on how to receive the locks. Unfortunately, last week in all those torrential rains on 627, there was a flood on Babbitt Lane, which caused a significant amount of flooding, partly related to beavers who have built dams in that area, restricting the speed and flow of water, as well as the width of the overflow pipe that's in place to handle the overflow. We are aware of it, and we have been in touch with one of our engineering firms to look at this problem so we can evaluate the costs of widening that overflow pipe, which would alleviate a partial problem that is being created by the beavers. Unfortunately, that's a protected species, and we just kind of have to work around them, and we can't really remove them or move them as we would like to. So I just wanted to let the residents know and that the council members know that we are aware of the situation and that we are seeking a viable solution to resolve that problem. I also want to take an opportunity to congratulate Mr. Cedric Minter, who was our former facilities director, who retired from service in Willingboro for 23 years, I believe, on June the 30th. And we just wish him well in his retirement. And I am happy to announce that the Board of Public Utilities has approved the township's ESIP program. And we are in the process of preparing all the final paperwork and the refunding bond ordinance that would be presented for your acceptance and approval at our meeting in August, so we can move forward with the ESIP program in Willingboro. And I just finally want to announce that we are modifying the hours in the depot. We are decreasing the morning hours by just a couple from 7:30 till 10 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be normal hours. We really don't get a lot of flow of traffic or business into the depot, And I thought it would be more productive to have those staff members who are sitting there waiting for people who don't come to be dispatched throughout the community, addressing things like trash accumulation and brush and debris on our major roadways. So please make a record that the depot hours have changed. Sunday through Wednesday, they are closed. Thursday and Friday, or Thursday from 10 to 4, Friday from 10 to 2:30, and then Saturday all day from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And we will still collect the same items that we were collecting in the past. And Mayor, that's all of the announcements that I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. We'll move on to the ordinances and resolutions.
So the ordinance is being presented for consideration this evening is ordinance number 12, which is a public hearing and final reading of ordinance to amend chapter 90 and chapter 370 of the Township of Willingboro Code relating to alcoholic beverages. After discussion, there has been agreement to issue 2 consumption licenses in the B1 primary business district. And this is the second reading and possible adoption of that ordinance. Ordinance 2023-13 is also up for public hearing and final reading, which is an ordinance to amend ordinance 2023-10, increasing the soft costs of the bond ordinance for the JFK Center from 163.66 to 750,000. When we were entering the data from that ordinance into our systems, we realized there was a clerical error in the amount of that line item. It is not changing the overall value of the bond ordinance, but we just need to do an amendment to change that to the proper figure. Resolutions number 2023-144 is a resolution to seeking approval to submit a New Jersey DOT FY 2024 municipal aid grant to execute a grant contract with the New Jersey DOT for the resurfacing of Marshall Lane. We have submitted a grant application to the NJDOT for this project, which is anticipated to cost $1,317,000 plus. Part of the application process is submitting a resolution from the governing body authorizing the submission of the application and the agreement to, if awarded, to accept the terms and conditions and execute the contract. So if you see fit to move forward with that, we will get that taken care of. Excuse me? I have 142, 143 next on my list. That was 141. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I? Please forgive me. That was 141. Resolution 2023-142 is a resolution of the Council of Willingboro accepting a grant from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General, in order to fund the purchase and implementation of automatic license plate recognition technology, also known as the ALRP in Willingboro Township. They have allocated $4.75 million to this across the state of New Jersey, and Willingboro Township Police Department was awarded a sub-grant in the amount of $144,000. Which will be used to implement automatic license plate reading technology here in Willingboro. Resolution number 143 is a resolution to amend the adopted budget for additional items of revenue and offsetting appropriations, which is also known as a Chapter 159. We did receive a $99,000 grant awarded to Police Department for their Shot Spotter or the Shot Spotter technology. That award has to be entered into the 2023 budget, so we can go forward with spending those revenues and moving that project forward. In like fashion to that is Resolution 144, which is to amend the budget, which is a Chapter 149 to insert the $1 million that was granted to the township for the JFK Theater project. The grant application has been submitted. It has been approved. It has been sent the funding. I don't know if we have actually received the first half of those funds yet. But we need to incorporate that into the budget so we can go ahead and move forward with those projects as well. The only reason we didn't do that in the budget process is because at the time, although we knew we were going to get the money, it was not, the application was not done and complete and finalized. So that's why we're doing it now. Resolution 145, authorizing the township to execute an agreement with Belia Design, Print and Mail to provide printing and related services. Belia does a lot of printing for the township, and they, a lot of design, print and mail things, and they are approaching their 17.5 threshold. And we just desire to increase that to 25,000 as we prepare to do some final things related to the holidays, Jazz Fest, their end of year calendar and things like that. So that's what we're going to use those additional revenues for. Resolution number 146 is just approval to go ahead and hold our annual tax sale utilizing electronic technology. The state doesn't permit municipalities to do this. However, it must be done after approval by governing body through a resolution. Resolution number 147 is regarding the overpayment of taxes. Quite often we get overpayments due to duplicate payments, homeowners that become exempt for some reason, and then we do have to refund them some overages in payment. Resolution number 148 is authorizing the township to enter into an agreement with Mall Chevrolet to purchase one electric vehicle. Last year, we did create a capital line item to do that. We did receive funding through a grant from the state and PSC&G, which covered the cost of 2 electric vehicles. And the council did put some additional monies into the budget for the charging station to offset the cost. We received a little bit more money than we were anticipating, which kind of left us enough to go ahead and purchase the third vehicle, which inspections is going to need anyway because of the inclusion of an additional inspector and things like that. So that's what that money is, or this resolution is for, to go ahead and just authorize the purchase of this vehicle. Again, it's already funded in last year's capital budget. Resolution number 149 is a resolution authorizing the redistribution of forfeited contract funds for trash and debris removal services. The past couple of years, we have awarded contracts to 5 vendors for primarily inspections department. When people don't clean their grass or cut up their yards, then they reach out to these contracts to perform those services. 2 of the 5 vendors this year determined for their own rationale that they don't want to participate in the program. So we're just asking that the monies that were allotted to them in the amount of $20,000 just be redistributed to the other vendors so they are properly funded to pick up the slack. Resolution number 150, authorizing the township of Willingboro to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. That's exactly what we were just speaking of. And when those residents fail to reimburse accordingly, the township, we put a lien on those properties. And currently that lien amount was $9,979.56, but there was a modification because we did remove one particular property because of another issue being dealt with. And we have to wait till that property or that situation is resolved as well. So that was in the amount of $110. So you can just subtract the $110 off of that final total. Resolution 151 is approval of an administrative software services for the inspections department, their annual service fees. As you are aware that we have been working with Mitchell Humphrey for a few years now to implement the new inspection technology in the inspections department. Mitchell Humphrey has finally completed everything they needed to do to make that programming functional and operations in the inspections department. And now we're actually going to move forward with implementing the contract for the software and maintenance for that. Year one of that would have been 2023, and the amount listed there at $57,670 extended over a period of 7 years for a total contract amount of $441,884. Resolution number 152 is a resolution authorizing contracts with certain approved state contract vendors for playground equipment at Broido Park. There was a grant awarded to the township for $100,000. Was it last year or the year prior? Through an error, we just did not realize that that was a matching grant. And there were also some additional fees incurred with that. Those two also were provided for in this year's capital budget, and we're going to move forward with purchasing the remaining playground implement or pieces at a total of $65,950. Resolution number 153 is awarding a construction services contract for the FY 2022 municipal aid program for Bradford and Blueberry Lane. We did go out to bid for that project. The bids came back, and we would like to award the contract to Charles Marandino LLC in the amount of $267,672, which was considerably less than the $328,845 grant that we were awarded from the state of New Jersey. Resolution number 154 is a resolution authorizing a professional service contract with Vibe Collective Agency LLC for musical performance by John B. at the 2023 Willingboro Jazz Festival. So we're asking that you will go ahead and approve that contract award. Resolution number 155 is authorizing the state of New Jersey to enforce the elevator subcode starting January in 2024. That was a service that was provided here in Willingboro. Because of the complexity of that particular license, we do not have in-house subcode inspectors for elevator services. So we have been contracting outside vendors. The one vendor that we were utilizing, I think he retired or something happened. We went with another contract vendor, and it has not been working out for Willingboro. They have been very difficult to deal with, not filing paperwork and things in time. So the determination was just to turn that service back over to the state of New Jersey, who will then be responsible for inspecting all of the elevators that are housed within Willingboro. What's that number, Mr. Tunstall?
There's no loss of income to that.
How many elevators are here in Willingboro? 11. So that would include the elevators like the ones we have here and in the JFK Center, and all the other persons that have elevators will now be responsible for making arrangements, and the state will come in and inspect their elevators, which is not a bad thing because it also relieves us from some liabilities related to providing those services, which we really didn't receive any type of financial gain from. Resolution number 156 is utilizing competitive contracting for the acquisition of a community development manager. The council did express a desire to have a community development manager, and that's the title that we used in this particular resolution. So we would like to go out to RFP. If you award that, then the RFP will be compiled. It will be reviewed and approved by the body. And once that's done, it'll be put on the street, reviewed, and then you can determine who you would like to award that contract to. Resolution number 157 is approving a state issue change order number 1 and final for the FY 2020 NJDOT Trust Fund resurfacing of Pennypacker Drive and Sunset Road, Phase 1. And Resolution 158 is approving change order number 2 and final for FY 2021 NJDOT Trust Fund resurfacing of Pennypacker Drive, Phase 2. These change orders are related to the as-built quantities of items that were used to actually construct or do the paving. And there are also adjustments in some fuel pricing and asphalt pricing, particularly related to those particular 2 projects. So these 2 resolutions are approving those 2 particular change orders. The first one, or the one for Pennypacker Phase 2, also included the inclusion of the speed humps along Pennypacker, which were also funded in 2022's capital budget. Resolution 159 is approval of the July's bills list. Resolution 160 is establishing a not to exceed amount for HVAC services. And resolution number 161 is very similar to that. Unfortunately, there were a number of invoices and bills that were from 2022, and I believe some from 2021 that were not properly submitted for payment during those periods. So we're asking for an increase, not to exceed increase, so we can go ahead and pay invoices that have been remitted. And there may be some invoices that still may come forth related to that. And we can discuss that further if the governing body wishes to do so. Resolution number 162 is authorizing the approval of vouchers for payment and ratification. Resolution number 163 is a resolution authorizing change order number 1 in contract increase for Pennypacker Phase 2. And I think I spoke about that earlier, but maybe I gave the wrong number. Resolution 164 is authorizing a liquor license renewal for Foster Military Lodge Association. And there was one late addition, resolution number 165, which was a not to exceed resolution for Pannoni, who has been doing a lot of work in the township. Most recently, they're going to be doing the design work for the 2023-2024 roadway improvement program. So we needed to increase their not to exceed amount from $383,000 to $644,000, which is reflective of the amount for them to go ahead and do the engineering and design work for the 2023-2024 road improvements. And those are all of the resolutions that are being presented to you for your consideration. That's 165, what I just spoke to. It was a last minute, I believe it's.
Hey, now. Anything for the manager's update? Any questions? Mr. Harris, I just wanted to, I know we won't have a meeting until the 1st of August. So were there any events that the public should know about for this month? I know we have a couple.
Yes. Thank you. I forgot. Too many papers.
Yeah, that's what I feel like we're up here. Yeah.
I don't know where my list is. Ms. Bolden, yeah. That was that. Give me 1 second. It's in here somewhere. It's in here somewhere. Parks and Recreations, public.
I know we have some, the Calypso Band at the amphitheater on Friday, 6 to 8. 6 to 8. Can she come out? You could come out.
Mr. Harris was able to find, we have a couple of things that'll be coming on. So this Saturday, July 8th, we have our hip hop, our 50th anniversary hip hop cabaret, where we have Mr. Cheeks and the group Brand Nubian. We do have tickets on Eventbrite for $25. If you buy tickets at the door, it's $30. You can bring your own food, bring your own drinks. Doors open at 6. The first performance should probably be about 9, the second performance at 10, and we end at midnight. On July the 14th, which is our Friday night, we do have our third band, the Caribbean Band, David Sharik Trio, and they'll be doing the Caribbean at the amphitheater from 7 to 9. We also have July the 22nd. The Recreation Department and the Police Department is on a collaboration of our community fun day and the park type of event. That's also in line with our Parks and Recs month. That's going to be one of the big things that we have. And then we'll also have events throughout the month to celebrate our Parks and Recs as well. Mr. Harris, are you finding anything? I believe I sent
No,
it.
that was.
Okay. I do have our Aquapalooza, which is also July the 29th, 7 to 10. We'll be showing the movie. It's an Aquapalooza dive-in movie night. That's $5 a person at the Country Club pool. Ms. Jackson, do you have anything? National Night Out, which date is that? Because that's
31st.
July 31st. Okay, I'll be speaking for the police department as well. Yes, National Night Out. The time? Okay, that sounds about right. Anybody from police? 6 to 8? Okay, 6 to 8. That will be our National Night Out. Okay. Oh, yeah, we'll have Jazz Fest, but I know we'll have a meeting in August. But yes, the Jazz Fest is August the 13th, and our lineup will be coming out shortly. We were able to solidify all of the paperwork for the last individual, which is on your agenda for this evening. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Bolden.
Thank you.
I appreciate the lifesaver.
And I did want to add that the Friends of the Library are hosting the garden tour. I think July 8th and 9th. I think that's a pretty good thing to check out. And I would like the township to make sure we, get some pictures and go around and make sure, we can kind of put that on display for the rest of our residents. And if you have any questions about the events going on, we can go on our website or our app, our Connect, or social media. And we also have the flyers in our turnstile. So if you have any questions, we do have a lot going on this month. Yes, absolutely.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that summer reading program at the library begins on Monday. That is the 11th, and it runs through August 10th, which I believe is a Friday, and we are serving free lunch at the free library again, and that is also starting on July 11th. That will be at 12:30, and lunches must be eaten in the library in the cafe area.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sandy. All right, moving on to public comment. We have public comment for agenda items only. Any resolutions or ordinances that you may have a question or concern, please feel free to come up here, state your name and address for the record. Public comment for agenda items only is now open.
Good evening, Pat Lindsay Harvey Hadley Lane. Just have 3 things. Resolution 2023-12 is the only change to that ordinance for liquor license, dropping number from 150 seats to 50 seats. Resolution 160 and 161, why are there 2 HVAC resolutions? And resolution 164 was not in our packet. Thank you, that's it.
160.
No, 165 was there, 164 was not.
All right, so that's the resolution to amend resolution 2023-063. Oh, the foster lodge, okay. Okay, that's fine. And I'm sorry, Ms. Pat.
Yes.
Your second question, you said 164.
Why there are two HVAC
160.
resolutions.
Okay,
They seem like they both need that.
okay,
They do.
thank you. Ms.
Quick and simple answer is two different companies.
Okay, we have someone on the Zoom.
Yes, Mayor Brown.
Okay,
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. I wanted you to clarify audience
Can you
20,
please name and address, please?
78 Executive Lane. Wishing to clarify the audience from last meeting is 2023-10. If you can go over section 10 as well. And also resolution 146 and 150 and 161.
what's the first one?
You said 146?
I have 146, 150, and 161.
The first one from last meeting, audience 10, section 10.
Ordinance, okay. Okay, we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
And did you have any specific questions about those resolutions? Because the township manager just went through them. Are there any specific questions?
In section 10 about the property tax. Let me look it up.
That's from that's from the ordinance, okay.
Mhm.
And anything in particular from resolution 146, 150, and 161?
What is the electronic tax agreement? And the charges for the property tax and audience 150? And yeah, because I don't know the violation for the property tax of 9,000. How is that, how did you come up with that amount? I'm trying to figure what's the violation.
Okay. Thank you. We'll answer that after we receive all the public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment for agenda items? All right, public comment for agenda items is now closed. Mr. Harris, you could start with Ms. Lindsay Harvey.
So the answer to Miss Lindsay Harvey's question is, why are there two resolutions that they read almost exactly the same? They're two separate vendors. One is for Hawks and the other one was for Hutchinson, yes. Right, so that's the only reason why there are two separate vendors. Resolution or the ordinance 2023-10, I don't have that particular ordinance in front of me, so I don't know really what's. That was from the last meeting and I
Okay.
was. What?
All right,
But the second reading was.
yeah, second final reading was,
Last.
yeah.
What ordinance specific was that?
I don't know.
We'll get back to Ms. Brown concerning that ordinance.
Okay.
Section 10. Ordinance 10, section 10.
Oh, yes, ordinance 12. Your question was, yes, the two elements that are changing there is the seating is being reduced from 150 to 50, and the square foot of the property is being reduced to 3,000. Okay. Resolution number 146. She was asking about the tax sale. So when residents don't pay their property taxes, properties go up for tax sale. Normally, the tax collector holds an in-person, in-house tax sale where everybody comes in and they do their bidding and all of that. Resolution number 146 just permits that process to be done electronically instead of online. The state has mandated that you can do electronic tax sales, but it just has to be approved or authorized by resolution prior to. So that's what 146 is. Resolution 150 is authorizing the township to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. If a resident receives a violation from the inspections department for failing to maintain their property, the inspections department will put fines on those properties. And after a certain period of time, they will go ahead and abate whatever that issue is, and then we will then turn that cost back over to the property owner. And if they fail to pay those fees, then we put a lien on their property. We have a list with, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't even know how many are on the list, but the total costs related to those liens totals $9,869.56. So that's what those figures are related to. Resolution number 151, I believe, was the other one she wanted clarification on,
I had 161. I think you addressed that with Miss.
or 161?
Mhm.
Right, the not to exceed for the HVAC services.
Yes.
Okay, and that was it?
Yep, that was it. Okay. Are there any resolutions that we would like to further discuss and take out for consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull resolution 142.
Saw that, okay. Any other ones? All right, I make a motion for a consent agenda for resolutions 2023, 141, 143 through 165.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councilwoman Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda of resolution 2023, 141 and resolution 2023, 143 through 2023, 165.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, second by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. And we can go back to our ordinances.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2023-12, an ordinance to amend chapter 90 and chapter 370 of the Township Code of the Township of Willenboro relating to alcoholic beverages. Public hearing is now open. Host, you see anyone?
Not at this time.
Last meeting, Shelley Miller, 11 Hollis Lane. Last meeting, I complained about a house on Hollis Lane.
Ms. Miller,
Ma'am,
you can come back in right after we conduct this business. This is for the ordinance for the liquor license.
Yeah, it's related to
Okay,
that
gotcha.
one ordinance about property maintenance.
No, this one is for alcoholic beverages.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2023-12, an ordinance to amend chapter 90, chapter 370 of the Township Code of the Township of Willowboro relating to alcoholic beverage. I need a motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2023-13, and ordinance amending ordinance 2023-10 to increase the soft cost of the project from 163,666 to 750,000. This is public hearing is now open. Host, you see any?
Not at this time.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading for ordinance 2023-13 and ordinance amending ordinance 2023-10 to increase the soft cost of the project from $163,666 to $750,000. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-142, a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Willowboro accepting a grant from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General, in order to fund the purchase and implementation of automatic license plate recognition technology in Willowboro Township. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion?
Discussion, please.
Councilwoman Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just interested in a bit more context for this automatic license plate recognition technology. And I'm not opposed to us accepting the grant. I'm just trying to understand a bit more about the technology. I've been reading different articles about different from different towns people in different towns that are concerned about the increased oversight and increased what some consider to be surveillance of their communities, with the ShotSpotter being implemented, and now we're considering the automated license plate recognition and other technologies that continue to be perceived as surveillance for the community. I would like to hear, I don't know if Mr. Harris or someone from Public Safety could just share, their perspective, as residents have perspectives as well about how this is perceived.
So I will ask Captain Perez if he would come up and share his comments with the community on this particular piece of technology, which I think it is a very good piece of technology, not as a means of spying or over policing, but it enables recognition of vehicles that may have been marked as stolen, or if someone has been issued be on the lookout for a particular vehicle, can help them pinpoint and identify maybe a particular location. But I will, allow Captain Perez, who these are his areas of real expertise.
No, good evening.
Highlight, go ahead. Sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just to allay your concerns, I do understand, nobody wants Big Brother over their shoulder watching every move they make. I completely understand that. With the ALPR readers, their main focus is, again, to where we will have them located. Let's say, for example, we have a shooting in town, and we do have our share of shootings or major crime that happens in town. We would have them at key junctions in town where vehicles leaving the area of a crime, we will be able to capture those tags. And with that information, we can develop suspects, put out bolos, be on the lookout to county agencies to look for that vehicle. So again, it's an investigative tool to help the community. It's not about spying on the community. It's actually about gathering as much information to capture that suspect after a major crime was committed. And that's what the main focus of that is for. again, to develop suspects, to keep the community safe. So, again, and that's what we use it for. And again, there's also very, very strict AG guidelines on the usage of that system as far as the maintenance of the records on that system, who gets to view them, how they get audited, how they get purged. It's a very strict system, heavily regulated by the Attorney General's office. So it's not something that anybody can just go in there and read the information. For example, any vehicles that are going through town, we can just look up, oh, who's going through our town? It's not like that. It's literally just used for specific law enforcement purposes, particularly when we have major crimes happening in town. We can see who left the scene of a crime, develop suspects in that manner, and apprehend them as quickly as possible to ensure the safety of our residents.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I had, Madam.
So it's Attorney General guidelines. So that's
Yes,
good to know. That was one of my questions.
Yes,
Who's
ma'am.
who's doing the guidelines?
Right.
Because I did see, actually it was on the news this weekend that the Philadelphia, they're having some issues with the residents
Mhm.
saying that they feel that they're being targeted or, the information is being used
Right.
not according to the guidelines, I
Right.
presume. That's good to hear that we will be following those strict guidelines. Also, in terms, I see we're getting a grant for this
Yes, ma'am.
this year. What's the cost after that? If we're not going to receive a grant, maybe, next year? I just want to know, what is the future cost?
All right. I can't speak to that, sir. So I'm not
Okay.
directly involved with that grant process. I'm dealing with other grants, so
Okay.
I can't speak to that, ma'am. So I
Okay.
won't.
I did have one.
ma'am.
Captain Perez, yes. So these devices, are they stationary or are they equipped in cars?
There are different types. So we have ones that can be stationary and ones that can be applied to vehicles. I believe these are stationary.
Stationary.
So, but there are different types, but those
Okay.
are not the ones that we're asking for, ma'am.
Okay, and then the shot spotter technology, that's just audio.
That's just audio. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I need a motion for treasury report, please.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
I need an approval for minutes for June the 20th, 2023, please.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Mayor, just a few highlights for the municipal clerk, report. I want to talk about the cannabis, applications, first. It closes July the 14th. We currently have no submissions to date, but they normally come in the closing date. So that's where we are with the,
And for clarification, this is cannabis cultivation.
cannabis, yes, cultivation.
And
But
manufacturing.
actually, it
And
was, all-
manufacturing.
right. Except for the one we have open for retail. That was not part of it. Also, as of, July the 10th, I believe it is, we will be down two, people in the, clerk's office. Again, we'll send out applications for that as well. Death certificates that, was processed for the month of June was 4, birth certificates 82, marriage certificates 19. Also, as of July the 1st, the state is back to charging for, wedding, applications. What else that's significant for the good of the order? And subject to what you have in your packets, any questions of me, I can take them at this time.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You said that you would be down, the clerk's office would be down too. Is that in addition to the deputy clerk or the deputy clerk plus one?
Deputy clerk plus one.
Okay, thank you.
Also, for the cannabis, when was that opened? And we said we're July 14th as the ending?
Right, so we wanted it open for 30 days, and we initially wanted it open June the first, but it didn't go open then because we was waiting on some information. So about June the 14th is when it was advertised. So we did 30 days
30 days,
from that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll be moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any items for unfinished business?
Just one thing for unfinished business. Had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Harris a little bit earlier. And just to let everyone know that Channel 28 is up and running.
Hmm.
That's something we were looking at as far as helping get communication out, things that are happening in Willingboro. This way, it's another tool for our seniors. They can just hit Channel 28 and see what's happening in town. So we encourage, all departments, anything that's happening, get it to the proper source. This way it can be advertised. Because a lot of times we do so many great things, but we don't communicate it properly. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Quite welcome, Councilman. And I do have to make this one statement. When you go to Channel 28, the address they have is they've kind of renamed it like Willingboro Channel. It's really weird. And they have a Willingboro @ please understand that that email does not come to us here in Willingboro. It goes to Comcast, and why they label it that, I don't know, but that is their address and it does not come to us here in Willingboro.
Perhaps you should write that as a disclaimer or caveat on that, because I'm just sliding, so.
Like the new Willingboro channel on 28 on Comcast, like the Willingboro channel. Okay, go ahead, Willingboro.
Any other items for unfinished business? I did want to revisit the Providence House. I think, Mr. Harris, you did have some communication with them.
I did. We are not providing any services to the Providence House, and they are not expecting any services from us except for the financial contribution that we have been giving to them. So as soon as we get that paperwork and the appropriate resolution, we'll go ahead and do that payment for 2023.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, moving on to new business. I know we have any council member have any items for new business? All right, Mr. Harris.
So our solicitor forwarded to you all an ordinance that we would like to ask for this to be discussed and possibly introduced this evening, if possible, to address the homelessness in and around the library and hopefully preventing its expansion in and around Willingboro. Willingboro is a lovely community that everyone likes to live in, including the homeless or some homeless. But the problem is that they have not been treating our property and locations with regard and respect as they should. They've been defecating in public, urinating in public, leaving a lot of debris and other unsightly things around in public. They have been harassing residents or patrons of the library who have expressed concern about utilizing the facilities. And although we are respectful of persons' rights and liberties that are afforded to them constitutionally and through the state of New Jersey, we also have responsibilities to residents and homeowners to provide them clean, safe, and healthy an environment in the community. It is our first intent to work with, to help anyone who finds themselves in those types of services. I know our librarian and Ms. Foster have been very proactive in working with county organizations and other state agencies to find them services. They have refused services. There was one resident that was there and she temporarily moved and decided to come back. And I believe she brought some friends with her because I don't know why. But I do not feel that we as a community just have to sit around and just take it And there are certain implementations that we are asking for the council to put into place. Number one, outlining and dictating very specifically certain things that can and cannot be done in the township, like sleeping in streets and sleeping on sidewalks and public property and walking around naked. And it gives definitions to what that is, and not defecating in public spaces and urinating in public spaces and leaving bottles of those things in public spaces. And it gives power and authority to the police department to deal with these particular types of instances. This particular ordinance was crafted by our solicitor based on other model ordinances that have been implemented in other municipalities throughout the state of New Jersey, this one particular to Atlantic City. So we both felt that if it had been in Atlantic City for the length of time that it has unchallenged, then it probably would be pretty, reasonable to expect that it would go unchallenged here in Willingboro. So we would like for you to just review it, consider it, and possibly move it for introduction. So we could possibly have adoption in August and allow us to deal with these particular situations before we turn into the fall and winter months.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Any thoughts or going forward with this ordinance or this presentation? Madam Mayor. Yes.
I am in support of the Peace and Good Order ordinance. I know it's been a challenge, not just at the library, but other places throughout the town. And the challenge that we were having was not having anything on the books for the police to be able to assist. I also feel better about this because the county is doing more also to offer more services, and their homeless shelter will be coming soon in West Hampton.
Mhm.
And so I think, we'll have this in place. We have services that are available. There are other places for them to go as well. And so I think that this is very timely. I support moving it forward tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy.
I also support moving it forward. Willingboro, especially at the library, has a number of resources to help get the unhoused population help and services that they need to not be in that situation or not continue in that situation. But we also have to protect our residents and the children that reside in the town and that use the library for their needs as well. So I also am in support of this ordinance, the Peace and Good Order ordinance.
Okay, thank you. I have been receiving a lot of complaints for going up to the library, just not feeling safe. And that is one of our areas where we do our early voting. We have the reading there for the kids. And I haven't even on the last couple of months, people have, I've gotten plenty of emails and plenty of in-person complaints about just trying to walk, on that sidewalk and trying to get to the library. So I do think this ordinance is fair. We do still want to offer help to our homeless population. And we do have the Beloved Project. And we've been reaching out to the county also to try to make sure we get some more resources for those who need help. And we do have a population of our residents that do need help. So we don't want to, overlook that, but we also have to keep in mind the safety and enjoyment of our other residents. So I also support moving forward with this ordinance. So with Madam Clerk. I'm sorry, did you?
Oh, no.
You're looking
Good.
quiet.
No, no.
Okay, go ahead. You have something? Go ahead, you can.
I'm in support of it as well.
Okay.
Ordinance 2023-14, ordinance providing for peace and good order. Need a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Okay. Anything else for new business?
Madam Mayor, quick
Yes.
question, not new business, but old business.
Oh,
We
go
forgot.
ahead.
I just wanted to know from the manager if there's an update on the rent control piece that we were working on.
Yeah, that, Mr. Crook still has that.
Okay.
He'll present. He was still working on that. Also, the group home, some group home information that we're still looking at. We got some more complaints that, a couple more are, in Country Club again. But we are making sure we're looking at our ordinances and tighten up our ordinance to make sure that we can account. Yeah, obviously, we cannot discriminate against any group home, so we have to just make sure our ordinances are tight and code enforcement is enforcing all of our homes. But we did receive some complaints with the garbage in Country Club on Crestview. It's a 115 Crestview, some garbage and some just, some public safety issues surrounding that too. But I did mention that to Mr. Harris offline, but those two items, they're a little bit more difficult to manage and we're a little bit more difficult to address because of state law. But we are working on that. All right, moving on to public comments. Public comments for all items or any concerns is now open. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, council, for allowing for me to speak. Tony Mathis, 26 Medford Lane, Wellingborough. I have one question before I begin, and I know that usually you don't respond to questions until after. How many times can I come up to the mic to ask a question? Just once? Okay. Oh, got to come back next month then. All right. This is in regards, I'm just going to read it because I know I have, 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 29. A year ago, I moved to my current address, 26 Medford Lane, but for 18 years, I lived in Rittenhouse Park. While driving through Rittenhouse Park and talking to my former residents, I observed that there was signs that are now placed, six signs. I'm sure some of the council is aware of these 6 signs, but they are placed in different locations. 2 of the signs is in Rittenhouse Drive and Rancocas, Beverly Rancocas. The other 2 are Rancocas, Beverly Rancocas and Rockland. The other one is in front of the RPCA office, stating the office hours. And the 6th one is placed on Rockland, on your way out of Rockland, saying, welcome and have a good day, or something like that. So I came to the township today to inquire about the signs. And I went to the code enforcement inspection window, and I asked if they had been approved, if there was a permit. I was told no, verbally told, but I needed to do an Oprah to, I guess, complete my actual getting something in writing. I did complete the Oprah, and I will be waiting, I guess, 7 days to find out, to have it written, something written saying that it was not, the permit was never submitted by the association. So my concern is that since it wasn't submitted, I'm assuming that there either is a fine already imposed, or there will be a fine because there was no submitting of a permit. The other question, the bigger question is uniformity is what I asked Mr. Harris, and Mr. Anderson was there, and you were also there as well. I didn't remember your name, but I apologize for that. And I asked about uniformity, and is it a ordinance that says that all signs that identify the different parks should be uniformed? That's my first question. And if not, why not? Because right now, Rittenhouse signs are definitely different than what is currently there. I was also told that the future is that possibly there's going to be new signs for all of the parks. Then my other question is, will that include the association or the townhouse community, which is Fairmont and Rittenhouse? Will they have to pay for their signs? And the reason why I had to come to the township is because we have not been able to get any answers since 2017. Our association has refused to communicate with the residents. So we basically have not had a meeting. We have not had
Ms.
any.
Mathis?
That's it. Okay. But I think you got the gist of everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Mathis. All right, I see there's some hands raised on our Zoom call.
Yes, Mayor. V. Clay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I just want to thank, my name is Valerie Clay. I'm at 11 Shetland Lane, and I'm speaking on behalf of the trustees of the library board of our community. And I want to thank the township and the community for helping us to be the resource that our people need. And we want to really be able to serve the members here. Our mission is to serve as a diverse, interactive, digital, and physical knowledge base hub for and by the Willingboro community. We have a robust and strategic plan focused on excellence and communication, partnership and collaboration, stewardship and sustainability, plus growth and adaptation. We're open evenings and Saturdays, and we encourage the public to utilize our services. We are your 21st century library, not just books. We have hotspots, Chromebooks, Kindles, eBooks, and lending. We have extensive programming that can be joined in person or remotely, like the Tiny Tots Story Time. We have mediation. We have programs of local history, open houses, and computer classes. In 2022, we circulated over 35,000 items, 4,000 plus downloads, 5,000 AV materials, 348 programs, 17,000 people visited, and we have about 5,400 reference questions that were managed by our library staff. We'd love for you to visit our website or communicate with us about training and inform us about your needs. We are at www.willingboro.org. We want to thank the council, the township leadership for their support in answering our capital needs. And we want to continue to be in conversations about our annual budget. I just want to thank everyone. Good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Clay.
All right, Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory, Hudson Place. And I'm here tonight to beat two dead horses. The first one is to respond to my concern about the sample ballots the other time. And the answer that I got was, I should have called the county, which I did early Monday morning. And I actually spoke to the superintendent of elections. And her reply to me was that they did their part in getting the sample ballots out, and suggested that I call the post office. And I called the post office, talked to the supervisor, and of course, I said to him, it reads that these should be delivered by Wednesday, May the 31st of 2023. And his reply to me was, Miss, I mailed them when I got them. I called the clerk's office, did not get an answer, left a message, still have not gotten an answer as to why the sample ballots were not delivered until the Friday when early voting started. So that's horse number one. The other horse, the dead horse that I'm going to beat, is my answer that I got for the increase in property taxes. I was told that this is a school tax, which is fine, but I still think that the taxpayers and the residents should have been informed, since council knew about this before they voted on it. It just would have been a nice courtesy to say, in whatever format that you want to use, that there will be an increase in your taxes because of XYZ or whatever the case is. And passing the buck does not solve the problem, especially when you knew that this was coming for you to vote on. I've observed people paying their taxes, and I'm gonna tell you, we have people my age and older. First of all, they drive over there. They're lucky if they get a parking space. Some of them have difficulty walking. They walk up the steps, go through security, all to pay their taxes. And I just think that it was unfair that we were not notified that this was going to happen. The other thing is the young man, Will Weston, who spoke the last time about working together for a better Willingboro. I'm definitely in favor of that as a 51-year resident as of August the 3rd. And the other thing that I'd like to say to Mr. Weston is that since you are being paid for your work that you do in the township, whether it's for your video or the commission, the WMUA, I'm going to challenge you to do your part and make sure that your fellow commissioners who have outstanding utility responsibilities pay their bills and do their fair share. And then I'm sure that we will have a better Willingboro. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Brad. How are you?
Sharon Anderson.
Good evening, Council. This is Sharon Anderson. I live on Bellhurst Lane in Buckingham. And I want to celebrate that we are going to be adding community development capacity in Willingboro. I think that's a terrific thing. There are many opportunities for community development efforts in cooperation with foundations, the federal government. We have tax incentive areas that are not being promoted. So there's a lot that we could be doing. I would have preferred to have a dedicated professional on our staff, someone who could not only respond to ideas from other people, but someone who could bring their professional expertise and they're staying on top of things to the community. Yes, a consulting contract will bring some of that, but it's not as dedicated as an individual. One of the things I hope is that the RFP will be formulated in a way that is accessible to sole practitioners. Sometimes the RFPs that come out are really complicated with a lot of requirements that end up with us having only the choices of large corporations where we're going to spend a bunch on overhead that doesn't end up with the actual hours of the professional. So I am going to be watching for that RFP. I'm going to be hoping that it'll come out in a way that will attract maybe a half-time professional with a lot of expertise that can take us forward. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
All right, I think I seen Brown earlier.
Any more public comment right here?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
I'm sorry.
78 Executive Lane. I just have two concerns. I wanted to know, how do you bridge the communication between school and the library in case we have any more increased funding? And also the funding that was given on the $1.6 million funding that was given for recreation. What, was any of the funding available for school projects? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Johnson?
Gary Johnson, 54 Gramercy Lane. I'm very pleased with the subject that was brought up about Resolution 142 and the ALR. I understand that it's supposedly constrained by the Attorney General, but that's only good if there's some oversight that's going to see that we stay within the guidelines. So who will have the responsibilities for oversight of this program to make sure that there is no abuse of the program? Regulations are fine, but somebody has to be in a position of responsibility of seeing that we stay within the guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other public comment?
All right, Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, and everyone. Good evening. This is Beulah Williams, 8 Botany Circle. I appreciate the technology recovery tonight. Last time, I had a hard time hearing and a lot of problems. So I'm glad to hear that it has been improved. Thank you so much. I wanted to compliment Ms. Kimberly and all the staff that orchestrated Juneteenth. It was a wonderful affair. And we're just happy that the Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church was able to participate in the 3rd annual Juneteenth Day. I want to compliment Mrs. Foster. This lady is so busy. She's all over the place doing good for our community. Wonderful lady. And I just want to say kudos to her and to the rest of you, but I'm talking about Mrs. Foster tonight. I'm glad that our manager is back from the hospital. I think the last time he was having surgery or something, and we were praying for him. So he's sitting there. God bless you. Now, I need some clarification, please. There are 2 items that you said, I think you said, that the last budget was $167,000 and now it's $700,000. I'm wondering, did I hear properly? And if it's so, why has the budget increased or the expenses increased in such a large way? And I'm sure there's more, but the homelessness. Are these residents who lost their homes, the people that are sleeping around the library and so on, are they Willingboro residents who lost their homes, or are they residents from different communities that have descended? I mean, homelessness is a horrible thing. So I'm not I'm not saying if they come from a different community, they're not as important. I'm just asking. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that, there will be shelters in place in a little while to house these people again, because homelessness is a horrible thing. But I just want to know, are they residents who lost their homes? And, okay, that's it. Thank you so very much. I think that is all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Williams.
All right, Tarina Williams.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tarina Williams, 8 Botany Circle. Thank you so much for this informative meeting that's extended to Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members, and of course, Township Manager Harris. God answers prayers. We're all praying for their speedy recovery, and it happened very soon. Thank you, Ms. Blygen, for all your hard work. Thank you for a special thanks to the Willingboro Police Department. I really admire all of your hard work, and you balance it out with community outreach. Just about all the time I'm seeing pictures or flyers online of different events that you do while serving the community, putting yourselves at risk, but doing it for the greater good. I happened to see a post on Facebook on Boro TV warning people who they have Kias or Hyundais that to be mindful of that. So special thanks to Terry McLaughlin, Associate Pastor, for informing us about that. It just so happens that I have a friend from church who he just got one, and I asked him, did he know that? And he said no. So if it wasn't for the police department and then Mr. McCollum, on his post, Boro TV, I wouldn't have known that. So special thanks. I really admire our close-knit community. July is Parks and Recreations Month. I just learned that. So special thanks for informing us. And I really admire just as much the Recreation and Parks Department for all of their outreach activities for the community. There's no time to be bored because there's always something that we can do. So may God richly bless them for all of their hard work too. I echo what my mom said about the 3rd annual Juneteenth. It was such an awesome event. I'm so grateful to God that the heat that we're feeling today wasn't like that on June 17th. And July is also National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So I encourage everyone to educate themselves as much as possible and to spread the word that it's National Minority Mental Health. And in addition to that, it's also Disability Awareness Month. So I just wanted to share that with everyone and greatly appreciate everyone's hard work. Like I said, we're a close-knit family that what one doesn't do, the other one does, and we complement and work together. So may God richly bless you. Thank you so much for your time and all your dedicated service. There's too many people to say thank you to for all your hard work. So I just extend it to everybody. May God richly bless you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome, Mayor McIntosh.
Ms. Dilworth. I thought I saw Ms. Dilworth up there.
Yes.
You see that phone?
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad that you recognized my hand was up. I would have been very disappointed if I hadn't had an opportunity to speak tonight. I just have a couple of things that I'm concerned about. First of all, I'm very grateful to hear that the council is taking up the issue of homelessness. As a member of Friends of the Willingboro Public Library, I spend an awful lot of time at the library and have the opportunity, to observe firsthand the homelessness situation that is increasing around our library. So I'm grateful that you are being considerate of them as well as the rest of the community. We are all human beings and we all deserve, kindness and consideration. The other issue that I'm concerned about is not an issue that I'm concerned about, but I'd like to get an update as to when the new restaurant is coming to the town center. That's it for tonight. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth.
All right,
See-
call-in listener ending in 7297.
Good evening, Council. Jack One Max, 70 Maplewood Lane. Sorry I missed this meeting tonight. It's unusual, but other things came up. I just want to add a couple of items that I seem to, having been a resident here for so long, I seem to know a little bit about. The signs for the individual parks were purchased many, many years ago. I don't even know, could have been 30. They were all paid for and sponsored by different businesses in town. So I'm not sure whether there was even, I'm sure at the time there was an ordinance giving permission. They all looked alike to a degree. Some are still around. Some are just old and have worn out. I know the one coming from Burlington Township on Kennedy Way is long gone. Somebody ran over it. And I've often thought that should be replaced, but I don't see anyone doing that. Maybe they'll look into it more now, but you might not find those ordinances around. The second thing is that the school budget years ago used to be voted on by the community. It is no longer on the ballot. The school district does hold many, and I say many because I think they probably held between 6 and 10 different budget meetings starting in February, with a Saturday budget meeting and maybe 2 or 3 Saturday budget meetings, and then throughout the rest of the spring. So it really is up to the community to go out and to attend those meetings. I know it's hard, and find out what's going on. Council doesn't have anything to do with the school budget, school board budget. So I think everybody's kind of upset with council. They didn't have anything to do with it. So that's all. Have a good summer, and I'll see you later on. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. All right, seeing no other public comment is now closed. All right, Mr. Harris, let's.
So Mayor, if you will just allow me an oopsie.
Okay.
Last week, our firemen were recognized by the Burlington County Chiefs Association for acts of heroism here in Burlington, in Willingboro. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize them and ask Deputy Chief Friedel to just come and just educate everyone on the why and the who what were recognized at the association meeting last week.
Nice.
Good evening, everyone. We had, we call it A platoon, A shift. Captain Fresco, Lieutenant Farrell, firefighter Clark, firefighter Leuke, firefighter Barger, and I know I'm missing one more. They were all recognized for their acts of heroism when they removed one civilian off the roof of the house that was on fire. They stretched a hose line in and they started to extinguish the fire. And while they were performing a search, primary search is what we call it, they located a second civilian inside. Both civilians were rushed to a trauma center, but they both did survive after their acts. The fire was extinguished. So they were recognized at the county level from the County Chiefs Association. We were all there in support of them. The township manager was there as well. And they all received a unit citation from the county chiefs.
Nice. Excellent.
And my apologies for not including that in my report, but I just a lot. So just dealing with some of the questions that were presented. Ms. Mathis did ask about some issues with park signage and uniformity. As we explained earlier, there were certain ordinance in place that dictate signs and setbacks and height and all of those in relation to particular signs. As long as a sign is compliant to those regulations, then there is a lot of liberty that a private property owner has in placing signs, as long as they are compliant with the zoning ordinances and codes in the township. The public signs are a completely different story. Those are regulated and dictated by the township. There are still certain requirements that they are required to meet, but is always our intention to have all of our signage that is placed in conformity or uniform. Something that we are looking into in 2024, and you'll hear more about it, is, you know, there's a lot of signage in Willingboro that is old and dated, and some has little whatever they are on them, and you know, and they are not really reflective of Willingboro's logo, so that we are looking into possibly changing some of the signage around the community. And when that happens, all of our signage will be consistent. There is some question as to whether the little signs in the parks will remain, because they do have some nice historic value in the community. But that's something that we have decided that we will put out to the residents and allow them to weigh in on before we make any type of unilateral change, because, you know, it's important that Willingboro not only looks pleasant to us, but it is pleasant to the people who live here as well. So that is particularly related to Ms. Mathis's questions.
There was also a question of the permit, was a permit filed on their behalf?
So I do believe there was a violation issued in relation to those particular signs. And then they will have the appropriate amount of time to either abate, do whatever they need to do. And if it is not done in that particular period of time, then it will be escalated to the next level.
Okay. And then, okay, so you're saying that the signs in Rittenhouse, they don't have to conform to any of our standards?
The signs in Rittenhouse do not have to conform to our standards aesthetically. As far as height, setbacks and all of those things, yes, but what the actual sign says and look at, if that's there, and they want to put it on there, as long as the sign is compliant with the zoning codes, then the verbiage on the sign can be whatever, and
The verbiage and style and.
right, unless the township is going to implement a unilateral sign ordinance that regulates all of the signs, but at currently we do not have one. So we regulate what we can.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Clay was just indicating the resources at the library and our 2024 version of our library is not just about books, but they do offer other services. So I do appreciate that information for all of our residents from Mrs. Clay. We have Miss Mallory, still with concerns over the sample ballots. And, you know, with all due respect, the sample ballots is still has the ownership is at the county. Our clerk has nothing to do with mailing them, making them, printing them. And Madam Clerk, if you would like to speak to that, you know, you're more than welcome, but that is strictly a county function. And their relationship with the post office or what they had to do for the mailing. So that still is, there's still nothing that Willingboro has to do with, you know, the mailing of the sample ballots. And also the increase for the taxes, again, it's not that we're trying to pass the buck. We were not aware of it. And that was simply, you know, not aware of it, of that particular increase. It comes from the state. Mr. Harris, can you offer some more clarification on that process?
So Ms. Mallory was correct. There was a point in time when all of the school budgets were put out to vote for the taxpayers.
Right.
In the period of time when they changed the legislation and allowed school boards to move their school board elections from, I believe it was April, to coincide with the November elections, there was also the opportunity for the school boards to also submit their budgets directly to the New Jersey State Department of Education for review and approval. They were no longer required to be voted on and approved by local schools through votes for a lot of different reasons. One of them being that a lot of school budgets would be voted down in communities because they were in increase, usually sizable increases. And a lot of residents feel that I don't have children in school, I don't have to pay school taxes, and would vote the budgets down. Part of the process in overcoming that would be that those budgets would then be submitted to the local governing bodies who would, in conjunction with the school districts, make amendments to the budget. And often if that could not be done, or the school budget could appeal that and apply out to the state anyway and say, we still need this money, and the state would make a decision and pass the budgets. So they've kind of removed all of that middle process. And now most school boards submit their budgets directly to the State Department of Education for approval. So there is nothing that was voted on by the council. There was no pre-knowledge or participation on the council's part in the preparation of the school budget, which this year was a little over $5.6 million. Once again, last year, the municipal tax rate was 1.816 in 2022. And in 2023, the municipal tax rate was 1.816. There was no increase in taxes from the municipality. The county tax went up an estimated 2%, from $6,650,813 to $6,783,829. The open space tax went up a total of $10,000, and the bulk of the lion's share of the increase was left with the school board, who went from $33,953,204 in 2022 to $39,285,308. The overall tax increase for Willingboro in 2023 was equal to 7.755%, 0% of that coming from the municipality, 2% coming that from the state, and the balance coming from the school tax.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, for the explanation. And also, for Ms. Sharon Anderson, she was concerned about the RFP for our professional development person. She would like to see, you know, more of a professional. She's just concerned that the consultant may not be the best fit or what we're looking for. So just a bit of clarification surrounding that.
We do have particular criteria that was expressed by the governing body as what you were looking for in and I use the word management consultant. You know, it is yet to be determined as to whether there'll be a part-time employee, a short-term, a long-term. But when we go ahead and finally craft the RFP, and we'll present it to the governing body for final review, you know, those questions will be determined by the board.
Thank you. Ms. Brown also had questions about the budget. I think you've answered. She was concerned how we were going to bridge the gap between council and the school board and our other entity. She did mention the library, but I'll include the WMUA. We do have a council member that does attend the school board meetings regularly and keeps us updated. However, the superintendent did indicate, especially with this tax increase, that he would make sure that he articulates this and publicizes, you know, any big, huge increases or huge different new news, I guess, big news. He's made a commitment to articulate that better to the community. But as Ms. Mack said, some of the responsibility is incumbent upon the resident to attend some of the school board meetings, especially during budget season. That's when you do have your say at those meetings. You do you have your input. So we will do a better job in making sure we do bridge that gap in communication with the school board and our MUA. Ms. Brown did bring up the 1.6 million funding.
I don't really know what was that related to. I really don't know what that was related to.
She was asking if the recreation funding can be used for school projects.
Yes.
Our recreation programs?
Yes.
They're utilized for Willingboro recreation programs, but there is nothing that would preclude us partnering in some manner with the school board to have some type of joint program. For example, you know, Dr. Worthy is working with our office to develop a back to school wellness program with the school, where we are going to be utilizing some of our opioid settlement funds to put together opioid programming for the school students and focus there and members of the community, as well as other things. So, you know, those monies can be encapsulated in those manners, but our recreation budget is usually particularly directed for providing recreational activities and opportunities for the township.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Johnson, thank you for for pointing out, we just have to make sure we have oversight for the guidelines for our police equipment. Yes, thank you.
Mayor McIntosh, I have an answer for you regarding the funding.
Okay.
So the grant covers 4 years of the funding.
4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
For the LPR. And then after the 4 years, we're going to assess it, see its efficacy, and then decide whether now we want to continue with it. At that point, at today's prices, it would be $35,000 a year.
Okay.
At today's prices.
At today's prices, okay.
Yes, so that could, I mean, it will change.
Be-
I'm sure
yeah,
it will. It always goes up. So that's in reference to that. for
Okay,
4
I
years.
appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Sir, that was a great question regarding the LPR. It's a very important question. So the way that works, sir, is Director Bucks, who's the leader of our department, he will assign an administrator for that software. And that administrator will have the responsibility for the import and export of the information that goes into that machine. I'm sorry, into the software. And also that is also creates an electronic audit trail that is not only monitored by himself, but also monitored by the state. And there are mechanisms in place to ensure that if there's a malicious mistake or information that was drawn improperly, there are criminal charges that are associated with that could have come upon the police, whoever's the administrators at that point. So it's closely monitored, sir. So I hope that helps. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Ms. Williams. She just wanted clarification on our budget. And I think it was the ordinance, the second ordinance that we did today, just some further clarification on that.
That's incorrect. So, or I'm sorry, that is correct. There was one particular figure that was entered into that bond ordinance incorrectly by our bond counsel when they crafted the ordinance. They entered in 166,000 instead of 750,000, which were the true soft costs related to those particular projects. That's all that we're changing. We're just changing the 166 to 750, but it does not change the overall number that the bonds are being issued at.
Okay, thank you for that. And do we have like an inventory of if our homeless population, our populations are mostly Willingboro residents who have lost their homes? I don't
No.
think we have that information.
I don't, and I don't know if that information has ever been surveyed or polled.
Right.
So no, I don't.
Yeah. So Ms. Williams, we don't have that information. We're not sure. I know there are possibly some Willingboro residents, but there are some that have come from different communities. We do have our bus line that comes down that corridor. So I'm not sure. We're not sure if they're necessarily Willingboro residents. Ms. Dilworth had a question about when our restaurant is coming to the town center.
So my understanding is that he would be ready to open in August at some point. And as far as I know, he is still on track for that. I believe he has hired his general manager and that is in place. So hopefully, I was hoping by your next meeting, but see you in September.
September. Okay, so August.
Yeah,
So we're
sometime
looking at-
between August and September, I would presume.
Okay, perfect. Was there anything else that we didn't address that was brought up during public comments?
No, that was it, Mayor.
All right. Any council have anything to add to the public comment? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to council comments. Does anybody have any council comment? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I had a few things I wanted to share. Dr. Kevin Clay is hosting a series of conversations about Willingboro, for Willingboro. He did one in June, which was a really great opportunity to connect with community. His next one is Monday, July 10th at 5 p.m. at the Willingboro Public Library. Dr. Kevin Clay is a professor at Rutgers and is exploring reconnecting Willingboro and offering community communication, community connections, using historical documents and references, and really leveraging the experiences of Willingboro residents, past, present, and future. So if you have the opportunity to come out, please join the conversation. Again, that's Monday, July 10th at 5 p.m. at the Willingboro Public Library. I also wanted to say thank you to code enforcement and all the other people that are behind the Willingboro Connect app. I put in a lot of different requests. I take
Killing it.
pictures. I've become a photojournalist here in Willingboro, but as I see things, I'm able to share it. And I've talked to other residents who are using the app as well. And it's not just because I'm on council that they're responding. We've tested that too. It's because the concerns come in and people are curious about what happens after they take the pictures, but they get an email to give them information. The ticket gets closed out. So if you see things around town, branches covering signs, faded street signs, if you're walking and it's safe for you to take the picture, just snap the picture and send it in. It's very easy to use. I encourage everyone to download the Willingboro Connect app. Instead of posting the picture to Facebook, you can post it to the Willingboro Connect app and it will get to the right people, and it'll be recorded, it'll be addressed. And it's done very quickly. So it's an opportunity to do that. So thank you to all the people on the other side. For me, I'm just taking pictures, but I appreciate all the work that's being done on the other side to move that forward.
Thank you.
I also wanted to wish a happy belated birthday to Miss Reva Foster. We haven't seen her since her birthday. So happy belated birthday, Miss Foster. And also happy belated birthday to our Commissioner, Pat Lindsay Harvey. Happy belated birthday. We want to continue to celebrate our residents who are here, who are doing wonderful things. I happen to know their birthdays, but all the June and July babies, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. If I had done that, Ms. Foster would have gone upside my head in the morning.
She's coming
I'm
for
glad
me,
you
Mr.
did that.
Harris.
Thank
She's
you.
coming for you.
Councilman Anderson.
Just want to thank everyone for coming out as usual. Congratulations again to the firefighters and their awards,
Yes.
their recognitions. I received a text from Miss Tarina Williams, making sure I tell Miss Foster, happy belated birthday. Want to say happy upcoming birthday to Dr. Worthy.
Oh.
Happy
Mhm.
belated to Pat as well. And Dion Recreation Department, great job on the Juneteenth event.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson.
All right, just a few things for me. Thank you for all of the work of the fire department. We appreciate your service to Willingboro, keeping our residents safe, even in the face of danger. So thank you to the Pink Platoon, I think you said. Eight Platoon.
Pink.
A.
Hey.
A. Let me check my battery. So thank you to the A Platoon for all of their hard work on keeping our residents safe. Also, big shout out to the Recreations Department for all of the events that'll be coming up in July. There's quite a lot on the calendar, so please make sure that you are coming out and patroning those events. We hear all the time, there's nothing for the kids to do. There's plenty for Willingboro residents to do. There's something to do almost every weekend in July. And sometimes more than one thing to do. So please come out and enjoy all of the events that are taking place in our beautiful town.
Paying for, right?
Right. Beautiful town that our tax dollars do support. So we appreciate that. The pools are open, so we hope everyone is enjoying the summer. I think yesterday was recorded as one of the hottest day in like 125 years or something like that. So across the year, across the nation and across the world, globally the hottest day. So stay cool this summer. And take care of one another. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, I just wanted to acknowledge our own Councilwoman Worthy and our officer Brandon Thomas, who were acknowledged as our community heroes with the Beloved Project. The Beloved Project is one of our is a nonprofit here in Willingboro that fills the gap in addressing the needs of some of our homeless and people who have some needs that need to be met. But it was kind of cool having two Willingboro people being acknowledged, and the Willingboro crowd went wild. So we represented, we represent in Burlington, and it was just an awesome event. And so kudos to you. And I know Officer Brandon's not here today, but I thought that was pretty cool for them to get those acknowledgements as community heroes that they are. As Deputy Mayor said, I hope we take advantage of a lot of the things that are happening around Willingboro in July. I'm pushing the pools. I was on the swim team growing up here. They do offer swimming lessons. So swimming lessons are still available, adult swim. So make sure we spend a lot of money on this pool. We need y'all to use it. Everybody's like, is the pool gonna open? So the pool is open. It looks great. So thank you for that. And we'll see you around July. We'll be at the events. Our next meeting is August 1st. Just a reminder, we don't have a second meeting in July or August. So August 1st is the next meeting, and I will see you then. Have a safe July. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have executive session. Yes.
Your mic's not on.
On. Resolution 2023-166, resolution authorizing executive session. I need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Worthing, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. And there will be no, yeah, do you have a statement? for us?
Yes, you do have a need for executive session tonight to discuss matters involving litigation and attorney-client privilege.
All right, thank you. And there'll be no, nothing, no vote after, so you are free. You have Mr. Crook, you're sending him a Zoom link? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You hear my words? I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So
please.
moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Roll call.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield?
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh?
Yes.
Proceed, Mayor.
Yes, please.
I need a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
It is
Good night.
9:39. We are adjourned.
Thank you.